Just wanted to see if everybody could sign in. I'm told Mr. Hartwick is not coming. Mr. Mays is here. Is he coming? Okay, he might be a little late, but I'm going to start. We met last time and we talked about what worked and what didn't work. We went back to the drawing board. We've come back with a plan. We'd like to propose, 62 bedroom units and 95 parking spaces. We may be able to get another 3 or 4 parking spaces on the exterior, depending on how we treat the bike racks, which you'll see if you come up and take a look at the plan. But essentially the building is this. It's a modern 3.5-story building with a rooftop terrace. It's got amenity rooms, it's got a community room, it's got a workout room, it's got Amazon boxes to get your stores, your stuff delivered by Amazon. We think it's handsome or beautiful, depending on your perspective. This is one side. This is another side. You'll see that all 95 parking spaces are in the basement. They're underneath the building, so you won't see any of them. The garage actually is pretty interesting because you see the building stops here. The property line is here. The garage actually extends all the way to the property line, but the building does not. So you'll have a nice setback. You'll have nice lawn area in front. It'll be really handsome. I think the key to this from our last discussion was parking. And this is the parking program. And you'll see, again, 95 parking spots. And if you look really close, you'll see up here bike storage and bike storage. And what we're trying to do here is work out something where we do something here with the entrance to allow some visitor parking in this space here. So that's what we're working on the design with the architect on both sides to have 3 or 4 visitor parking spots on both sides. This will be controlled. So if you don't live here, you won't be able to get in here. So it's not going to be parking to the public. It's going to be some kind of security apparatus in the gate, garage, arm. Something's going to be here to stop regular folks who don't live here from coming in here. So that's basically what we've come up with. Again, we think it's pretty cool. We think it makes a lot of sense. Let me show you the first. Do we have a first floor layout? We do not. Okay. I have on my iPad, if you want to come up and spend some time and look at the layouts of each floor, be happy to show that to you. But essentially happy to answer questions. Again, 95 to 100 parking spaces, 60 units, 2-bedroom, selling price.
Same between 260 to 299. Again, that's going to fluctuate with market conditions.
What if they don't sell? What happens then? How will you treat units that don't sell? Is really the question.
How will we treat it? It would be a decision then up to if we rent them out or use them as, depending on the plan and the financing, we'd have to sell.
We can also think about adjusting pricing too.
Yeah.
Based upon the market, one of the things that we'll look at is adjusting. Before we go to any extreme measures, the main goal would be just kind of keep playing with the pricing until we fit what our financing wants and what we see how to complete the project.
We don't see an issue at 299. Them selling first what's going on in general at the housing. The price, we're trying to price these below what somebody would buy a home in that area. So around that area, it's around 330.
So when you take average median income and when you look at where it's going right now, and with somebody who has decent credit, who has makes roughly $50,000-$60,000 a year.
Is that your average demographic median income in the town on?
No, it's probably a little bit larger.
You guys want to say?
No. You think it's lower?
Yeah.
This is so.
Have you done detailed demographic research?
What I use is no. What I use is basically the demographics of who we're looking at. We're looking at a single parent who's usually like a teacher or a government worker or something like that. That's where the 50 or 60,000 came from, right? And just dealing with local finance guys in the banks and stuff. Most of these people are getting approved at between the 300 to 350 mark. That's where we're seeing people who are making that amount of money, who are those kind of work. That's where they're getting approved at. So that's where we come up with this price.
That's where it's not going by a quarter. That's 18,000.
Yeah.
Based on 300. They would have to get that.
15 grand down on a $300,000
I mean, that's, you know, I don't know how you mean, you're gonna have a mix for the market study, it's gonna be workforce housing, people from the city that have jobs, and then you're also probably gonna get a mix of people that are commuters, using the train line, taking advantage of that. So you're gonna have the mixture of those two people. Well, what I know from the first time homebuyers program, roughly around 18 to, you know, plus closing costs, depending on, you know, if you went that route with HMFA, doing the first time homebuyer program, it's, you know, roughly 3%. You know, you pay a lot more in mortgage insurance, but, you know, some people might be cash.
I know they have the program now, you can pay a little as 5% now. And still get a traditional mortgage out in mind. So I think you target a mixture of people.
Yeah.
A mixture of people who have more to put down, like 5%. Because a lot of mortgage companies have programs that allow you to put as low as 5% down. And then for home buyers, which you mentioned, a lot of towns are giving money towards closure. So Orange taking 5,000, you know, East Orange is giving a little more, so you have those type of programs that's available.
Well, we're also, the thing is, we're looking at other projects in the area, so when we look at it, we look at the overall area. When you look and you get, even down the road on Scotland Road, there's, you know, there's opportunities where people are looking to purchase properties. We're looking at properties where you add on, and things like that in the area, because it's really coming to that point. I mean, you have the larger developer that owns a lot of those, I forget the properties on Scotland Road.
Garden apartments?
You have that guy, he owns pretty much a lot of the property around there, right? But there's room, when you see the other properties, there's nobody living above the store and anything like that. People are gonna start renovating and moving into those areas.
Do you have to purchase that second parking space, since it's not 2 per apartment? You have to purchase it or pay rent?
I mean, we haven't worked out the finalization with that, you know, because it's gonna be it's gonna be a condo association. So that's something, working through the process in New Jersey regulations, how we would deal with, you know, is the second parking gonna be owned by the condo and they decide, we rent it, that's gonna be a condo.
Allocate more, make them open spaces.
You allocate one and then the other one's open.
Yeah, one exactly.
Until it fills up.
Yeah, it would be one per unit, and then we'd have to work through the process on either the condo sells them, or, you know.
So one of the things me goes to the train and be by, one of the incentives that I've asked my partner to do is to figure out how do we put an incentive for people to keep one car, right? What's the incentive, and how do we make it fair to the condo association? So that's something else that we're just trying to explore to throw into there. Is it something we can offer on the credit or a price, something, but there's a way to incentivize different things, and people are doing it in the city and Hoboken and other places where they're just tight on parking.
Well, who's going, once all this is done, who makes the final decision, whether it's this rendering or the one we saw 2 weeks ago?
It'll be the planning board. The way this process we anticipate working is that we're going to go to the city council, ask them to amend the redevelopment plan to allow this project to be built as a right. So your city council people will be considering our proposal, and if they agree with it, they'll change the zoning to allow this project to be built. And then we have to go to the planning board and get site plan.
So the thing we saw 2 weeks ago
That's scrap.
fits the zone. No, fits the zoning.
No,
Oh, okay.
no, that did not fit either. We would still have to do the same process.
Okay.
But I don't want you to think that I'm on this camera giving you that's scrapped. This is what we're presenting to the city. We're not you're not going to see us here and then find out later we presented the whole project back to the city. We're done with that.
Well, I only asked that because 2 weeks ago, in the room, it was said, the city said only bring that one.
Yeah.
You know, and you said you had this rendering, and I couldn't understand why
Why
the
they
city
didn't
would
want
only
two
want you
options?
to bring that one when it was so much more expensive. Because if we can save money, or I should say bring money to the city through more taxes, which this one appears to do,
Yeah.
that should seem to be the most favorable. Okay.
Well, it was. I can say the city's concern was about saving the building, right? They thought it would be a large concern from the community that you wouldn't want the building destroyed, right? So when we came to the meeting, so we tried everything we could under the sun to save the building. When we came to the meeting, and the community said that's not our top priority.
Right.
Our priority is for you to make sure that there's enough parking. So then we went back and started back with this rendering where we were working on how to make sure we have enough adequate parking and maximize units so we can afford to build this building and not just talk about something that we want to do.
And could you tell me again, there were studios up to what, 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms?
These are all 2 bedrooms.
This is
now.
All 2
When we
bedrooms.
went back and did this, it came out to all 2
Will
bedrooms.
that master bedroom still be able to hold a king-size bedroom
Yes.
set,
Yes.
not a bed,
Yeah,
but
no,
a
no,
set?
absolutely.
Okay.
They're large units.
Okay.
It became hard to try to play with 2, 1, 3, so we had to just make them two bedrooms.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fair. What's the size of the rooms?
I don't have room size.
But the raw square footage of the apartment is,
Yeah,
But you don't have the square footage of the rooms?
they're over 1,000.
yeah, they're
They're over 1,000.
What, the room, each room?
No, the apartments.
Apartment.
So then we
Over
can do
1,000 square feet.
1,000 square feet, yeah.
But
So
you
we,
don't have the amount for each room, like the master bedroom, what a second
but we
bedroom.
know
We have not laid it out to that extent.
but we do know with over 1,000 square feet, you have room not to make tiny bedrooms. You have more than enough rooms.
how many flights? How many stories?
It's 3?
Yeah, 3 stories.
3.
How many
Yes.
bathrooms in the 2 bedrooms?
Probably 2.
Bath and a half?
Yeah, again, we have the finals at 1.5 to 2.
So I mean, I think the issue is we went from a 43 unit building to a 60 unit building, right? So we had 1-to-1 parking in the old rendering, which was 43 units with 43 spaces. Now we're 95 spaces to 60 units, so it's about a car and a half. So you're expecting half the people will have 1 car, half the people will have 2 cars to make it work. But now there's 60 units to sell, and I think that's really the difference that we should, as a team, be interested in.
Well, I want to thank you for going back and first listening to the community. You know, because a lot of times you come to meetings and you speak, and it doesn't make any difference. And I know I received several emails saying because of the community.
Absolutely.
And that's nice. That's a nice feedback
Yeah.
for the community. So I want to thank you for taking the time to do this.
It helps us, honestly, because like I told you, just to keep fighting and never get the project done, that doesn't serve any of us.
Yeah.
The sooner we can all agree to that, this is what we want, this is what the community wants, this is what's making financial sense, we can get this thing going, and then we can put more
Do
ratables
you
on
have
the
a
record.
tentative date to go before the planning board?
This goes back to Mr. Hartwick now. He wanted to make sure that we fleshed this out
Okay.
before he took it to the council. He wanted to make sure that that questions were answered, so.
I don't see any lighting or anything. All that comes later.
Yeah, we
I mean,
will.
we had less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, we just wanted to get you back to
The
what,
reason I was late was I was literally running back from the printers, because we got this this morning finalized.
But there will be, for safety issues and all,
We're
proper
good.
lighting and all that.
so what we can do is, once we get a final date for the planning board or things like that, I can't ensure that all these guys will come, but I can come and do another presentation with the full set that we'll submit to the planning board if you wanna see those. Cause that'll have the landscaping, the lighting, that'll have.
That would be up to the group. I mean, I'm just asking, it's
Yeah.
not necessary, because hopefully I would be at the planning board.
If you want us to, I don't mind, I'm just letting you know. Because we'll have that final set, right? We keep going back and forth with zoning, making sure what's the law, what's this, and then what we want to add aesthetically, and that'll take us back and forth on the phone.
I don't want to hold anything up,
Yeah.
since we were looking for this tonight.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this?
It's gonna be a
Chris
beautiful
gave
building on that
appraisal.
There's another building, but that's
It's already on
nice.
appraisal.
You had that whole building.
You already have it.
Why not redo it?
I haven't seen it.
Mr. Mayor says they have.
There's already an appraisal for the property. There's already an appraisal for the property.
Yeah, Are there any other questions?
Two different apartments.
No, I'm good.
Two different apartments.
I think this would be a nice addition to that block. I drove down that block a couple of times and I noticed there are a lot, some old homes with people who've been in those homes for a while. And I think with this being there, it might give them incentive to start, working on those existing homes that's there as well.
Maintain the
And
property
the
better.
property better, yes. And it will increase the value too.
Oh, do you want us to leave these with you so you can have them and see if people want to come in? You can see them if people want to come in and view them. Yeah, we should.
I just wanted to just answer two questions you asked about the $2.99 price.
Yeah.
$2.99 for orange at this time is not a bad price. That's the way the market is going. And then the second question, I just wanted to come back to you because a lot of times developers show these boards, and when the building doesn't look like that when it's done, the residents have a lot of questions. Now, this rendering is preliminary, I know that, but once it goes to the planning board, there is a mechanism that a rendering can be sworn in as testimony, and when it's done that way, the building should look like what's on this board. So I just want to caution so nobody doesn't get.
How often does the planning board meet? Because I don't usually get notices
The
for that.
planning board meets every month if there's a case.
Oh, depending
If
on the
there's
case.
a case, if
Okay.
there's no case, it won't be
So
heard.
could the list that you have, that you sent this email out, could we get a notice when you're going before the planning board? Because I would like to be there for that.
Absolutely, sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
You want to support it, right?
I'm gonna look at the last rendering right now. I'm in favor of it, definitely.
Okay. So I just want to make sure everybody understands, this is actually going to be a two-phase project for this, because we're going to amend the redevelopment plan. So it's actually going to go before city council first, so
Right.
that's the first thing. So it'll go to the planning board for a review, it'll go to the city council for a vote, and then we'll actually go back to the planning board to get approved. So it'll be at the planning board twice and the city council twice. So you'll have plenty of public opportunity to comment and be heard. I also emailed the videographer who works for the town our plan, so he's going to, I presume, put that up. In addition to the video running on public access. If anybody wants to get a copy of the plan, if you signed in tonight, I'll email you all a copy of our actual presentation. So if you wrote your name where I can actually read it, I will email you a copy of the presentation that we had tonight in like I guess 11 by 7? 11 by 7?
Yeah.
11 by 7.
So this is not going before the zoning board, John?
No, we're not going before the zoning board, so your wife won't have a chance to beat me up.
I'm so sorry.
I know.
I'm so sorry too.
I'm so
Because I actually
sorry,
get enjoyment.
I'm so
I actually
sorry.
get enjoyment out of it.
I'm so sorry.
I was waiting.
I know you were. We have that relationship. I know. It's
Empty.
not so much, but okay.
Do you do ground, but to say all of this process, it looks like we're talking about probably not before the fall,
No, it won't be. It'll be done next spring.
next spring?
Next spring will be groundbreaking.
Okay.
Now people want to sign in because I said I'm going to send the stuff.
Did you purchase the
What's the
building?
dollar on?
I'm sorry.
Did you purchase the
Where's-
land of it?
No. We have to enter into a redeveloper agreement. So that's why. So the steps are the town will consider our plan. If they like it, the town mothers and fathers, they like it. They'll make a referral to the planning board. Their planning board will then consider the kind of the design, the bulk, all the issues, the parking. And if they say, yeah, we like it, they'll design a plan around it. They'll make a plan amendment and recommend it to the city council. The city council will then amend the zoning ordinance. Once that's done, we will then enter into what's called a redeveloper agreement with the municipality, where we say, if you sell it to us for X amount of dollars, we'll build it on this time frame. It'll be an agreement. It'll be a contract between the city and us. So I presume all that's going to take the rest of this year to do. So if we get all that done and we get it done by the end of the year, we'll get in for site plan, hopefully end of the year, early next year, so we can be ready to build as soon as the weather breaks.
So you don't have competition, you have this contract,
We have gone through a initial process,
okay?
vetting process, where there have been a number of folks who have come to the town and said, we'd like to build it. The mayor has recommended us,
Okay.
but we still have to go before the council because the council is the official body and takes the official action. So all this could, if the council doesn't like us or doesn't like the project, it all
So
blows
I
up.
can come with my own drawing and maybe I'll get it?
Oh, maybe. You never know. If you come with 5,000 of your friends, maybe.
Mr. Mays,
Yes.
when was that area identified as a redevelopment area? Or has it been?
No, it is.
It is.
There's an existing redevelopment
But
plan.
when?
I don't know. It's old though. I want to say the plan's at least 15, 20 years old.
I don't know if it's that old.
It's not. I think it's like. I thought it was like early. I thought it was early 2000s.
I can find out for you and let you know, but it hasn't been done.
I thought it was like mid to early 2000s, if I recall. Like I want to say 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah.
Cause I don't remember.
It's been done, yeah.
It's at those. Turn this on library.
Question.
I tried to.
Are there any tax abatements going along with this?
Not sure yet. But maybe.
That'll be a pass.
But you got to remember, so the tax abatement doesn't go to the developer in this
It wouldn't-
instance.
yeah.
It goes to the buyer.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
It's
for
not a
us.
rental project. The benefit where a portion of the rent goes to is reduced. This is really the type of abatement you would do in this instance would be 2% of construction costs, right? So that's the abatement for buyers. So it really doesn't benefit the developer. The guy who's actually buying the unit gets a tax abatement. So the purchaser of the unit would get the tax abatement if they would buy it. If the city said yes.
The redevelopment plan was done in 2011.
2011?
No, 8 years ago.
Oh, that was a good kept secret, right?
Well, you're in the zoning board. That's the point.
No, but I live in the community, so, you know.
You just pulled it up, 2011.
Was that a revised one? Was that the original one?
Development
I thought it was
areas
a
identified.
little older than that. What you think? You guys like it?
Do we have any view on what the tax assessment will be on the building to divide by 60 for the units? Like, what will, because I know what the taxes are across the street. And it's a pretty expensive neighborhood for taxes.
Right, no, but it's going to be taxed. It's going to be taxed to sale price.
Based on some.
Yeah.
Based on the assessed value.
Well, the sales value, the initial is the
So
sale
it's gonna
price.
be like, $10,000 an apartment, people are gonna be paying $299,000 and pay 10 grand or 12 for $14,000 in taxes?
So if
Does that sound reasonable?
So the question is, if it doesn't sound reasonable, when we get to that stage of conversation, and we have a conversation, then it may be where it's 2 or 2.5% of sale price, which would bring it to $6,000 or $7,000. But we literally, I will tell you that I have
When
not.
does that conversation take place?
Probably around the time we're having the redevelopment conversation. So probably, in my mind, July, August-ish.
Because I can tell you on a house appraised less than $300,000 in that neighborhood, the taxes approach $12,000 a year. Across the street, right?
Welcome to Essex County.
I believe me, I know.
And so,
I'm just saying, when you're talking about people who are making, moderate amounts of money, potentially a single parent with a child, which is why we're creating 2-bedroom units at this price
I know
point,
it's not.
with that tax bill.
But look, the reality is this, taxes in South Orange are probably 30% more.
Correct.
Taxes in East Orange are probably 40% more.
Really?
So yeah, East Orange is way more than one.
That's right. It's almost like it's.
so where are they gonna go? That's
So the point about making
she's gonna have to pay
is
for
that you're making an argument, but I'm telling you it's not better anywhere else.
anywhere else. And people are paying to live in this area.
It's not better anywhere
They're
else.
choosing to
But
live.
Newark's a little better. Newark's a little better.
Taxes on apartments are different because with a house, you have property.
No, he says they're based on the assessed
Based on the
value.
sales, based on the
The
sales.
rate should be different though.
No,
Aren't they?
No, the rate.
But they're gonna own these.
They're gonna
Yeah,
own
but
it.
they own it, but when you own a house, you have property.
you have land
And when you own, you have real
you
property.
have real property in this too. Because
Yeah, you have real property in that
You have
unit, but you can't they can't use the same criteria for that unit that they would use for a house.
It is
That's-
the
I'm
same
gonna say to you,
criteria.
I'm gonna say to you, the initial tax assessment will be the sale price.
So if you think of the assessed value on your annual bill, what it says,
Land,
right? So it's a total assessed value that your taxes are assessed.
No, on mine it says property,
and
and
then,
then it says the building.
right.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying, so in an
Land
apartment,
and
you would have the building, but you're not sitting on any property.
Doesn't matter.
Other than the
But you
general,
are sitting on property. Really, there's a whole block that's underneath it that you own as part of this condo association.
but it's gonna be divided.
Right.
Yeah, they become sub.
Yeah, it's right, it's
Kind of
gonna
own
be
your
different.
share.
Yeah, you own your piece.
Yeah.
But the share is going to be a portion upon,
Right,
you
you
know,
own a 60th of the property.
roughly.
It's gonna be, point.
Some people pay a little more, units a little bigger, some people pay a little less, units a little less. Some the guy on the first floor probably pays a little less than the guy on the third floor. So it'll be roughly.
Paul.
But the bottom line I'm saying is, you're making a tax argument that we all make every day, but the reality is that Orange is one of the lower tax communities in Essex County.
And your population is growing
We don't
over
get
there.
no services.
And it's not. So people still.
That's beyond my scope of conversation here.
What services?
I'm
Yeah.
not-
Oh, no.
On the cost to the town.
I'm not,
But if it brings in additional tax revenue, that's what that's for.
That's a good thing.
You have to increase.
It goes from cost of the community to becoming income.
So what makes it so different that developers and having the tax assessment and so on?
because
We're not gonna own the units.
Right.
It makes it even more
if
intense.
this was a rental project, your argument would be valid.
Right.
But this is a for sale project.
It's gonna actually cost us more money to do the tax abatement. You're not gonna do the work.
No, I
You're
don't
gonna
think
donate
it's
the
free.
time for the tax.
So it's a pass,
No, I
so
don't
to
think
make
it's
it more affordable for the people that buy.
Can you convince
That's
them
bad for
that
democracy. Free work is bad.
for the tax abatement?
There's no free lunch.
No, that's bad for our country. You want people to work and get paid.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I came in a little late.
You'd be surprised.
How many
Right before
apartments
it's
are going on?
There's 3 floors.
Yes.
Yes.
And this is a condo, you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Now, I know you talked last time about the parking.
Yes.
I know someone mentioned blocking the house on the parking. I don't want to block it. We want it to look aesthetically nice. Maybe it should be, it's graded, I don't know.
So you're gonna see,
Underground.
it's underground, it's covered by the building.
Does the main entrance is still gonna be, it's gonna be on Lincoln?
Yes.
No,
No, not for the building, for
The
the
main
building.
entrance will be, the parking will be on the back of Tremont and Laurel. So
So this it kind of goes like this, right?
The main, just show me where the main entrance is, where?
Is this it right?
This is the front of the building, and this will be the side.
What street is?
Lincoln is the front of the building.
Lincoln.
Lincoln.
So you're gonna write that down eventually, though?
Yes, yeah. It's
Fresh from the printers.
So
I
this
got
way
this
the
morning.
parking will be graded down under the building?
Yeah,
So the parking is really a pretty cool engineering kind of thing because the parking actually is bigger than the building. So the parking will essentially be the whole block. The building will be set back, so there's a nice front lawn area, nice trees and grass and whatnot. But the parking will actually extend another 20 feet in front of the building. It'll go all the way up to the lot line. But the parking is buried underground, and there's a steep slope, right? So in the front of the building, the parking will be completely underground, and as it slopes back, it'll open up. And the garage, if you will, or the portal to come in and out will be at the rear corner of the building on Laurel and Tremont. And there'll be one way in and you can come in and out on both sides. Or maybe not. Maybe we're not sure. Maybe we'll do one way in, one way out once we get to the traffic.
You like the engineers and the traffic people
We
design.
haven't gotten there yet, but we'll have to
And is
see.
it gonna be, is it open or is it gonna be a gated closed?
So different communities want different things. Some people want gates, some people want garages, some people want just an arm aperture. So it really depends on what the community wants. We're agnostic as to how it plays itself out.
I don't think you want a gate.
Like in Hoboken.
Well, like I said, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do a gate.
You would want
You
to
can do a garage door, it kind of slides up. You can do a rolling gate that comes up and down. Some people don't like that. Some people want to be able to walk. There's different ways. There are
You
different
want to
ways.
make it secure in that.
I think you're right, but I'm just saying that there are different ways to do it.
So if I'm downstairs in the garage, do I have to exit the building?
No,
No,
there's an elevator in the garage. There's an elevator bank in the garage and 2 staircases that come down from upstairs into the garage. So you can walk upstairs from your garage. If you live here, you don't have to go out. You pull in, you don't have to go outside. In theory. In theory. You can have Uber Eats, get your groceries delivered. You're right, you don't have to go outside. You're right.
So I know also too, with regard, you have spaces for handicap parking?
Yes, there are handicap spaces designed.
Have to by law.
And
Yes.
also people are staying overnight company, because the holidays are universal, so people may have extra guests coming.
So we're trying to deal with that. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple of parking spots on site for visitors. There'll be 3 or 4 on site on each side, but the rest of the visitors will most likely be parking on the street.
Now, when you come in the lobby, is there going to be a gathering room for residents, or how are you
Yes.
doing this?
Yes, there is a. I have to look at my phone. Hold on. There are a number of amenities with the project.
Yeah, I'm sorry for.
Yeah, no problem, that's no problem, that's no problem, happy to do it. So we have a resident lounge, we have a fitness room, we have an outside terrace, we have a lobby, and then on the roof, then we have a rooftop terrace as well. So we have fitness, a couple of gathering rooms, so party room. If you want to have, some folks over and have a birthday party, you can do that. We also have a rooftop terrace where people will have fire pits and lawn chairs to sit out and sunbathe and read your book and commune with nature.
Rooms in each.
Will we be able to see?
There will be a laundry will be in each room. There will be a built-in washer dryer in each unit. Yes.
The design you showed me, the patios are in the.
Well, for those particular units that are on the interior of the area, they will have balconies, but the exterior will not.
Okay.
But there's a rooftop, and
You can kind of see it here.
yeah, there you go. You can kind of see it.
Yeah, you kind of.
There are balconies in the front?
Interior, only on the U, because it's a U shape. So the interior have balconies.
Okay, it's a U shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a U shape.
Courtyard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes. There's a courtyard inside.
Because it's a U.
Yes. Because
Why did you make it here?
because that's the most efficient shape with respect to design. Because you have to have light and air on all windows and all sides. So it's either going to be a U or an O. That's how you design buildings. So there's always going to be an interior courtyard on buildings like this. That's the most efficient design.
So the balconies are all in the back of the U and not
Yes.
on the front?
Yeah, all in the back.
Did you have any other developments in this area?
Not in Orange, no.
No, I'm surrounded.
Yeah, we've done developments in Sussex County, New York City. We have rental projects in Jersey City, Newark.
We've done projects
Where in
in
Newark?
South Ward,
Yeah.
we're in the South Ward of Newark, we're on several different blocks. We have 5 properties in Newark. We were in Irvington, fortunately, we sold that property, but we're looking for other properties in Irvington. We have one under contract right now. We're exploring, he's not being all the way honest because he likes to just be cagey, but we also are exploring another project in Orange right now, which we are in the process. We have it under contract, but we're trying to figure out what we want to do with it. Can we do that first before we close that deal?
In Orange?
In Orange, yes. And we know you're on the zoning board, so, okay, yeah, right, we already
It's
know.
private, it's not city.
It's all right.
Then I'll have to recuse myself.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what you're
yeah.
trying to
That's exactly what we're trying to do.
That's what exactly trying to get
Developers, what's your name? What's the developer's name?
Our company's called Chadwick Capital.
Chadwick County?
Yes, I know we look like the odd couple, but we are truly friends. I met this kid, young man, about, wow,
16?
I may age myself, almost 20 years ago.
Where are you located?
We were in high school. Our company is in Newark and New York. His office is in New York. He's in Newark he comes over to Newark half the day. My office is in Newark, yeah. And we go back and forth. I try not to go to New York ever, but some days he makes me come into the office.
You talked about last time, looking for people who may be using mass transportation.
Yes.
Yes.
And also, well, some between
No.
older, they probably can't even afford their 30 or 40. When you think about this concept, are you also looking like multi-generational? Because people who live in the community may not want to leave the community because they have places that they're frequent or are comfortable with. Are you looking at this for a multi-generational type of project?
That's why it's built like that.
Yeah, and I think we're looking mainly, initially, we would like to do workforce housing, so city employees, people like that, that are in the community. But I would assume, given market conditions, that, we're gonna probably get a mix of people that are, that are currently renters.
What do you mean multi-generational?
No, I think one of the things
I want to make sure I understand that.
I thought you were speaking of older people who may want to who may have got.
20, 30, 40, 50.
Yeah, exactly, mixing everybody together. Yeah.
So you want to make, does the project, you're asking, does the project appeal to all generations?
Somewhat.
Okay.
And that's what you have to look at in this day and age. You're looking
That's
at.
And I think you're gonna have 2 types of people. You're gonna have people that downsize, and you're gonna
That
also
wanna
have
stay in the
you're
community.
gonna
That's what
also
I
have
thought you
people
were
that are either commuting somewhere on a train system, and this is they're currently renters, probably have 1 kid, and they're looking to buy their first home.
So
I think
the
that's
thought-
the mixture.
With the thought process, the amenities in the courtyard is to what you were talking about, right? Somebody older who might have a bigger home that's saying, we're done, like, right, but we wanna stay, because of all of our friends are in this neighborhood, and we still, we do everything in this neighborhood, right? And this would be a nice, affordable, nice luxury kind of place where, you know, they would feel comfortable in moving into. And it'd be newer, and so I think that's what I thought when you were saying multi-generational, and that's why I think that's what we feel. We don't have, it's not tons of courtyard space for kids to just be running around where I know some older people think about, you know, wait a minute, I don't want to be living where the kids are gonna be making noise in the hallway, things like that. No, we try to make it for the mixed different grades. Using the amenity space and the extra space like the courtyard and stuff like that, thinking about those other families and things that may need to use the space for different reasons.
And the good thing about even like this area where you have Maplewood, South Orange, it's very diverse.
Oh, a lot going on.
You know, not only in race of people but age, and also these new developments in terms of condos. You always have that professional mix with the older retired people, and I think that's a nice mix. And I think this building would be perfect for that.
But that's not the message I got last week. I don't know if that's why you're asking the question, because that was one of my concerns when I heard the presentation last week. I heard millennials, and I heard.
Well, but I think the presentation changed because we changed the unit type.
Right.
So we were thinking about studios and one bedrooms. I think it's a different market than it is for all 2 bedrooms.
Can I ask a question of Marty? Marty, in the area, I've seen a lot of new developments around, and I'm assuming they're gearing themselves towards folks that like to commute to the city. How are those developments doing as far as selling units?
Right now, I'll tell you, Orange has changed, and I say this all the time when I come out and speak to people. It's really years ago, we took on so much affordable housing from the state, we put it everywhere, but now the market has changed. Everything is market rate. And that's why I made that comment when they asked about the $299 price. We have condos in Orange that are selling now close to $400,000. And we had that same concern years ago. Even as a city representative, I would ask that question to some of the developers, but that's just not an issue now.
So the ones in the area are selling?
Yes.
I think that you have to look not just at Orange, right? Because it's kind of a development ecosystem, right? And so I think that, you're looking at price points in different communities. So, what does East Orange on the train line look like? What is Orange on the train line? You're starting to look at it. But I don't know that this is specifically geared towards folks who are going to be on the train. I think that Orange has a little bit of pent-up demand of folks who would want to buy this type of product. I don't see a whole lot of new product that's for sale and coming to Orange. I mean, there's a lot of rental stuff that's being built in Orange and on the train station, but there isn't a whole bunch of for sale stuff. And even in South Orange and Maplewood, there's not a whole bunch for sale. So I think that this is a little bit of a different market, and I think there's some pent-up demand. And I think that's what the market studies are going to show.
Well, I have a couple of friends that have developed, not as major as this, 65 units, that have developed properties, and at first they were meant to sell, but they couldn't sell them, so they then turned them into rental properties. And that's just a fact.
I don't know the unit type, but I know that most of the projects that I'm working on that are for sale projects are almost being sold before they're being built. The developers are pre-selling them during construction phase. They're essentially building construction, trailer on site, and people are literally walking in and doing deals. Realtors are bringing them in. So I'm not sure where those projects are. I'm not sure what the size of them are, but I think this is a transformative project. It's almost a city block. It's a distinct kind of, it's a distinct building. It's not, next to maybe something that's not great, and somebody made a really nice house next to something that's not great. It's not a great plot. This project kind of takes on its own heft because of the fact that it's 3/4, almost a whole block. So I think it may be a little different than some of the smaller projects, and we do represent some guys like that, and those issues do come up.
Some financial.
Right.
The Tony buildings, are those rental or sale?
Those are there's rental and for sale. But in that project, there's
The condos.
the condos are for sale. They started
and the
out
apartments are for rent.
apartments are rentals, the condos, of course, that's what Leonardo was saying. That's a different project. It's right on the train line. But the 24 condos that were there, they sold out and they started at 388.
Is it full occupancy in all those two buildings?
I'm sorry, what?
The full occupancy in those two buildings?
Yes.
What about the one on Central Avenue?
They don't even ask me.
The what building?
Harvard Print.
Yeah, that's all lease
That's
rental. That's rental. It's all lease.
That's all rental.
They don't even have to return the calls. That's how busy and how much slow.
The Peppermint is a rental, Harvard Crypto is a rental. I'm trying to think what else
What
is there.
about, what about rental readies? Are those lofts?
The lofts, those are for sale.
Those were for sale. It's all sold out.
Yeah, they're sold out.
And they call that an art station, right?
Yeah.
Art station.
The Hat Factory, that's sold out, yeah. The Hat Factory,
Is that what that's
H-A-T,
called?
the one next to McGrady's is the Hat Factory.
What down about Jefferson Street and Central Avenue?
That's Harvard.
Yeah, that's all rentals.
That's rentals. Across from Bella Italia.
Yeah, that's half in South Orange,
Because I
half
know
in
some
Orange, and half in
people
West
in
Orange.
the Tony Delento condos.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that we know of, millennials, and they all came from New York, but they, now they've been here for a while, and one couple told us that they are beginning to look at buying a house. So that's the way,
That's
people
typical.
come over and live for a while, see whether they like it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're comfortable and, with their families and stuff, now they're looking for a house.
And you have to remember, the thing you have to remember is that to get to New York from Orange is 34, 36 minutes. to get to Lower Manhattan or Midtown Manhattan from Brooklyn is probably 45, 50 minutes. And so the same price that they're paying for this project in Orange, they would be paying double in Brooklyn.
Of course.
So
Taxes are higher.
and its taxes are significantly higher. So the reality is that we live in the center of the universe, which is Manhattan, and so all of these are essentially bedroom communities or New York-driven communities. So the reality is that if you do work in Manhattan, you want a place in Newark, you want a place in East Orange or Brooklyn or Maplewood. I mean, Maplewood and South Orange is all people coming in from Brooklyn and coming in from Manhattan. I mean, so I don't think that this is going to be that much different. I think that you're going to get a lot of New York folks, and you're going to get a lot of folks who live in Orange who want to upsize, who want to downsize, not upsize, downsize. I think there's pent up demand in the for sale product.
Considering where this is on Lincoln Avenue,
I'm sorry, you have your hand.
Oh, I'm
saying she said her hand for a minute. I apologize.
So as a public works employee, have you guys centralized the location where the garbage is being picked up
Yes,
by the contractor?
yes.
Easy access, and the neighbors are not gonna complain about the spill and the smell and things like that?
So the concept I think is to have a trash room, and then the super person is going to wheel it out either to a private contractor or a city pickup. But most likely, I think the private contractors will be talking about.
This building has full staff.
Yeah.
They have their own full staff. It's built into the projections for staff to, because we understand.
That's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, you can't not have staff at this many.
Landscaping, maintenance, exterior, all that's going to be included HOA fees.
I know a lot of buildings there, they have shutters, at least one shuttle on the property.
We talked about that. Well, you got to fit it in. I talked about that.
That's not something you're going to do as a developer. That's something that HOA, the association, housing association, may do.
Yeah,
I can promise you guys whatever, but the HOA wants to cut it.
yeah. We're talking about the amenities,
And you have to be careful because you don't want the HOA fees to be too crazy. And the problem is not the van itself. The problem is the person who's driving the van. By the time you pay them, insure them, everything else starts getting a little hectic.
You wouldn't want that.
this is to Mr. Mays. Because of where this building would be located on Lincoln Avenue, how soon is the train station on Scotland Road going to be upgraded, which may end up helping to sell?
Soon. We hope to go out to bid for the Highland Avenue train station in the next 90 days. The city, I don't know, you may have heard this at some of the council meetings. The city right now is finalizing the lease agreement from New Jersey Transit. So we're getting close.
Because one of the meetings I went to about a year and a half ago, only the rear of the train station was going to be developed. Has that started?
Nothing started yet. 'cause
Okay,
we
so
not-
now with this new development, will they be doing the whole train
the
station?
whole train, well,
Or just the rear?
just the same section that we've originally talking about. The city has 2 grants from the federal government, both for about $600,000. One is for that area, the train station that we spoke about
Right.
previously, and then there's another $600,000 for the exterior of the train station. So total 1.2 million, and we are getting close.
Is that both sides of the tracks? Or
Just one side right now.
The east side, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
And that's what she's referring to too.
Right, because I look at myself, if I'm gonna spend that kind of money, first of all, I'm gonna ride through the neighborhood to see what it looks like. And if I'm gonna be taking this train, I wanna know daytime as well as night, it's secure, it's eye appealing, because that could turn me off from putting that kind of money when I can go somewhere else near a train station 20 minutes away, you know, so I'm just hoping we do. Buses, so, no, I'm talking about in my car to go to the train, yeah. But I'm just saying, the front of it, or the Stockton Road side, to me needs more greenery, it needs a better.
It's actually part of what we look at.
Is there any reason why you're not considering the back side of the train station because it would work? It's all right, that's fine when you come back.
We are considering it, but we only focusing on what we got the funding for now. We are considering expanding it, but we only focusing on what we have money for now.
I know we talked about comparing ourselves to New York. I know we talked about comparing ourselves to New York, but this is the United States, so I know we talked about the outside and green, and I think that's going to be very important for attracting people. Now, when we first built, the maintenance, we have a maintenance company that comes in the first year, or how do you do this?
Generally, I mean, in a building this size, 60 units, it's kind of one of these in-betweeners, right? It's almost big enough to have a full-time person. I'm not sure if it is.
It's gonna be something we're gonna price out to make it affordable.
My gut is that you're going to wind up having an outside company that's going to come in and provide the services. So there'll be there are property maintenance companies in the area, and they'll have a plumber, an electrician, a handyman on staff. The grass will be cut by an outside company, one of the landscaping companies in the area. That's generally how this would work. If it were bigger, if you get over 100, 150 units, then they start having like a full-time person there. But for 60, probably not. There's probably somebody who's doing the same kind of job for buildings about this size in Essex, Union, Morris County. There'll be a company that does it, and you get a call, and the guy will be there in half an hour, an hour.
I know we were just talking among ourselves, and did you show a rendering of what the balconies look like?
I did to some folks.
Yeah.
We emailed the whole presentation to this public access folks, but we did not print one out, or did we? Oh, we did. Did you print out? You don't have the balcony.
No, I didn't get the balcony.
Yeah, of course.
Can we see the people in the balcony from out?
Well,
No,
no.
you can't.
No, there's
Let me show it to you.
It's on the inner core, you won't be able to.
Oh, good, I don't want to see.
Okay. Yeah, there's no balcony. There's no balcony on the outside. So this is the exterior of the building. Okay, and this is the inner core. This is where the balconies are. The balconies are only on the first floor, and then there's a terrace inside for the residents, and then if you go, there's a rooftop terrace.